Hey guys, welcome to week 2 and challenge number 2. So for this challenge, I wanted to do a exercise, a little self-experiment on training our awareness and helping you guys get a better understanding of how our mind and awareness pair up together. So our awareness can be thought of as the masculine aspect of ourselves, right? My awareness, by that I mean I control where my awareness is going. If I'm in a loud gym space and someone's having a conversation with me, there's all kinds of things happening around me, and I have control over what I'm focused on. So I'm going to bring my attention to that person. All right. Someone who doesn't have very good control over their awareness has a very difficult time doing this, right? They're trying to have a conversation with somebody, but there's a gazillion other things happening and they're not present with you. They're either ruminating about something that have going on in their life or their attention's kind of like parsed out to the music and to all the people dropping barbells and things like that. So, focus, awareness, masculine aspect can be represented by the one, phallic, pointed, penetrating. It is focused, all right? Steady focus, all right? The feminine aspect can be thought of as the womb, right? It is the creative principle. It can be represented by the mind, and the mind is always creating. All right, it doesn't care what you're thinking about or what you're pointing your awareness to. It's just going to create up around wherever you're pointing that masculine principle. All right, and so as a little self experimentation, you guys can do this in your room. Look at something that means something to you and watch how your mind works. So I'm going to take my masculine aspect, represented by the flashlight, all right, and I'm going to point it at an object of awareness, all right. So in this case, I'm going to choose this little ceramic that I got when I was in Brazil, and I'm going to watch how my mind creates thoughts around this, all right. So if I point this at it, I think, oh, well, I got this in Brazil. I was on a month-long trip. It was at a Buddhist temple. At the Buddhist temple, I remember there was benches and there was a big mountain that the benches overlooked where people would come and pray. I remember there was a beautiful yin yang symbol in the garden. There were Buddha statues everywhere. They had a nice little river. I got these for my coaches. I got these for a couple of good friends. They had different colors, and my mind will just continuously create thoughts around this. All right. And hopefully yours is doing the exact same thing. So, what we're doing for the drill or for the exercise is we're going to check in with ourselves 25 times per day. So, as you're doing this, as you're walking around, doing your chores, going to work, just check in with yourself. How am I feeling? Noticing what emotions are kind of moving through your system. Noticing where your attention was focused. Where was your awareness? What were you thinking about? And the reason I think this is so helpful is if you think about what meditation is, what do they tell you to do in meditation? Focus on your breath, right? 9 times out of 10, that's what the teacher's going to tell you. Focus on your breath. Why is that important? Well, when your awareness is scattered, right, your mind is going to create around scatteredness, right? And if your attention is focused, right, on your life, on something a goal you're moving towards, your mind is going to create around whatever that goal or focus is. And as humans, we're typically focused towards the negative, right? We're wired that way for survival. So think about going down to a watering hole and you go down there 10 times and then the last time you go down there there's a lion down there, right? You're not going to remember the first 9 times you went down to that watering hole. You're going to remember that time the lion's there and you're going to make sure you don't go back towards the lion, all right? And so typically what we tend to do when our awareness isn't centered is we focus on the problems in our lives. And then the mind creates around those problems. All right. So I'll use the example. My van died last weekend. So if I take my awareness and I point it at my van dying last weekend, it's going to create negative thoughts around that. Oh, I can't believe my van died. How am I going to get to work? My bike tire is also flat. How am I going to deal with that? I got to make a car payment. I got to go car shopping. Like my mind is just going to create all this turmoil around me focusing on my van breaking down last weekend, which is in the past. All right. Now, if I can interrupt that thought pattern, how am I feeling? Oh, I'm noticing I'm thinking about the van. Oh, that's giving me a lot of anxiety. Oh, I've got like a lot of fear about a car payment. Oh, my finances feel like tight, right? Take a breath, bring myself to the present. Now, instead of focusing on something that's happened already in the past, that I can't do anything about, if I can point my awareness in this present moment towards a solution, I'll get on Facebook Marketplace. I'll go to the bank and see about getting a loan. I'll maybe call out some dealerships and see what kind of interest rate I can get. And if I'm pointing my mind towards solutions, the mind is going to create around solutions. It's lovely. It's fairly simple. The issue that a lot of people run into is we don't catch ourselves thinking about the negatives. We're not we haven't built enough awareness around ourselves to point our thoughts in the positive direction. All right. Last thing I'm going to say about this is, and I hopefully this helps you guys take a little bit of pressure off, is that when you're thinking negative thoughts, do not associate them with you. It is just your mind creating about whatever you're pointing at, right? The pointing aspect is you. So if you're pointing your, oh, well, it's a piece of you. If you're pointing your awareness at negative things, and we've had friends like this, everybody's had a friend like this, right? They point their awareness towards a negative thing, they build a victim complex around themselves. And then what happens to those people? Typically, more negative things are happening to those people over and over and over again, right? And because why? Because they are pointing their awareness at a negativity, their mind is creating around that negativity. They're going to be caught in that pattern of negativity. And guess what the universe is going to give you? More negativity. All right. Versus people who are typically more optimistic and positive. What happens to those people? They may have a setback. What do they focus on? The solution. What happens to those people? They move towards solutions. They build action toward those solutions. And typically they continue to be positive. Hopefully this helps you guys out. For the exercise, you're checking in with yourself 25 times per day, and you guys can leave a little group me over the course of the long weekend and tell me what you found. What were you focused on? How did you interrupt that pattern by checking in with yourself? And hopefully you learned something. Cheers, guys. Have a happy Memorial Day weekend, and I hope I see you guys today or at Murph tomorrow. Or yeah, if not, have a safe and happy weekend. Cheers.